Welcome back. Before we get started, please pay attention. I highly doubt you'll make it to the end. These videos can get kind of disturbing, so stay tuned.
He brutally SA'd his own daughter for hours, and nothing is being done about it. 18-year-old Michaela Settles moved to Moore Park to live with her biological father, Steven Chavez. Michaela had plans to attend Moore Park College and pursue her educational goals. Just 2 days after moving in, Steven provided Michaela with alcohol and waited until she was intoxicated. Once Michaela was intoxicated, Steven SA'd his own daughter for approximately 4 hours. After the assault, Michaela fled from the house barefoot and called her mom, begging her mom to come pick her up. When her family found her, Michaela was so severely injured that she couldn't even walk, and her uncle had to carry her. Michaela was taken to the hospital, and there they confirmed the presence of her father's DNA. Michaela also gave her statement to the police. Initially, Steven was arrested and charged, but as time went on, he was released. Michaela was so traumatized that 5 months after the assault, Michaela ended up taking her own life. This case is slowly starting to be forgotten about because Michaela isn't alive to give her testimony in the courtroom, even though there is more than enough evidence. Steven is currently out on bail, living his life free to do whatever he wants. Based on the current charges, the maximum sentence that Steven may face is only 3 years in prison, which is absolutely mind-blowing and insane. But what do you guys think about this case?
That is absolutely disturbing. Only 3 years? That's insane.
Guys, the FBI, the Pentagon, the White House, and Congress have all now officially opened up a brand new investigation. There are scientists that are directly connected to NASA, nuclear weapons, and classified military programs that keep on going missing, and nobody knows why.
The FBI is investigating possible connections in the cases of 10 missing or dead scientists and staff who worked at sensitive nuclear or space technology.
So ever since 2022, 11 different scientists that are connected to America's most classified programs have now gone missing under suspicious circumstances. And I cannot believe I'm about to say this right now, but the FBI just confirmed that they are officially looking for connections between all of them. 2 different employees from the same exact nuclear weapons lab vanished weeks apart. Both of them left behind their car, their keys, their wallet, and their phone, and one of their phones was actually factory reset before they disappeared. A NASA engineer just randomly vanished off the planet while hiking and they were never found, and then a retired Air Force general walked out of his house and was never seen again. Those 2 people actually worked together on the same exact classified program. Hello? One of them was actually a military intelligence officer who worked for DARPA. He was gone right before he was supposed to testify to Congress about UFOs, and his cause was never confirmed. And on Kalshi right now, people have bet almost $100,000 that the government is going to confirm that aliens exist before 2027. I am going to keep on watching this story. This is obviously insane, so make sure you add me now so you don't miss any update.
There's a tree in my yard that's following me, guy. If you haven't heard about this man, there is a man who is steadily watching a tree move closer to his house every day. How does he know this tree is moving closer to him every day? Because every morning he goes out and measures it by foot. Swears up and down that this tree is new. Not this one. This tree has been there. He said he has family photos with this tree in the background. This is the suspicious tree. The neighbors come by, he warns them to keep an eye on this tree. He keeps telling this tree to back off, but every day it gets a little bit closer. I'm not here to judge, at the moment just give you the update, but at first he was concerned for his safety, but now he's starting to be concerned about the good tree's safety. Because now he thinks this tree may be plotting against the good tree. Not only is he now taking measurement of how far the good tree is from this tree that keeps moving, but he's giving us an up close and personal view of both trees, which he says makes this tree look even more suspicious. Because this is a tree in his yard that he says keeps getting closer to him. While this is the other tree that he says he can find it on Google Maps. He has seen this tree his entire life in this neighborhood. When he backs off, the trees look like they both have relatively the same amount of sunlight. So why does the real tree look like this, while the suspicious tree looks like this? People in the comments are making very good points in that everyone's crazy until it's proven that they're not crazy. So before anyone says this is crazy, a tree would never stalk someone. Are you sure? Before we start calling anyone crazy, remember we used to call people who believed and saw aliens crazy? But then it turns out they're now saying that aliens are not only real, but they've always been real. So.
I don't get that. How does that make any sense? There's no proof. I don't know.
Picture heading out for a night at your favorite restaurant. And all of a sudden, you order your food, you sit down, you start eating.
Dinner had bed bugs.
Next thing you know,
from the
something's crawling on your leg from your chair. So you get up to see what the hell it is. Take a look at this wild video of what happened to one woman in a restaurant. Check this out. Look at the chair. Look at that.
Wow, literally. Seriously.
Know what they are?
Yeah.
Bed bugs.
That is disgusting.
They literally crawling up out the crack of the chair.
Bed bugs.
How does that even happen? How does it get to a chair?
In restaurants.
Bed bugs, and they probably done ate plenty of people up. And you said rare for you. The whole chair is infested.
Look at that. There's probably 1 million of them in there.
That's
there they go.
wild.
Oh,
These are bed bugs in a chair at Raffles. Look,
Rafferty's.
there's so many in the crack of the seat.
Wow. Have a look at that. They are right in the crack of the chair. Really gross. But can you blame the restaurant for this? And why do I say that? Because of the fact that bed bugs are hitchhikers, which means they might have jumped in her purse, got on her clothes, they hitchhike and go from one place to another. And the only way that she knew that they were there to go look was because while they were crawling on her while she was eating, they were biting her. Once again, as a friendly reminder, you need to be very careful where you sit in restaurants and pay very close attention now to your chair. But honestly, they're going to have to figure something out. Maybe go with plastic chairs instead of these upholstered into wood chairs. I mean, seriously, there's like, you go to a restaurant to sit down and eat, and now you got to worry about bed bugs crawling up your you-know-where or landing on your you-know-what. So I guess my question to you is, I have a couple. Should this be a part of the restaurant grade? You know, like they give them for cleanliness and food? Should they include bugs in chairs, including bed bugs? And my other question to you is, will this change the way you think about going out to eat? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Are you planning your family road trip for this summer and it's requiring you to drive on I-40 or I-35? You've got to be careful because that is serial killer season. Parking lots, gas stations, and rest stops are a serial killer's personal hunting ground.
This is part 2, y'all, of the I-40 incidents. This guy, his name is Nomad Animal Encounter on TikTok. If you want to check out his page, it's very interesting. He goes into like stories or basically talking about how serial unalivers, that's their feeding ground. That's their hunting ground, I-40 specifically. And I told y'all about how one of the most prolific unalivers, I think the most prolific unalivers in US history, but his hunting ground was I-40. He did over 90 plus unalivings on that highway because there's just so much ground for serial unalivers to use. And the FBI says there's like at least 500. No, I wouldn't say at least. They said 500 unnamed serial unalivers. My thing is, why is that such a specific number? Do y'all know something that we don't? Anyway, I say all that to say, like, you would think that's fluff, right? Okay, it's just, fear mongering. No, it's true. I did research. Holly Bobo in Tennessee, 2011. It's broad daylight. She vanishes. Like, they still don't even know how she was taken. She vanishes, and she was found years later. Her remains years later. Heather Elvis, she disappeared. Well, she was last seen near a boat landing and just completely vanishes. Same way the first case, same way she vanished, completely gone. To this day, people still don't know what happened to her, but she did disappear on I-40. Erin Swift, she disappeared after a Halloween party and then her remains were found right by I-40. Like, this is clearly a pattern. I'm just trying to figure out what's going to be done about it. Like, how's the FBI just going to announce this? Like, what are y'all doing? Eating hot cocoa or drinking hot cocoa and eating some cookies? Go out there and get some cereal and unalivers for us because we need to sleep at night. Anyway, as always, make sure you guys like and follow. Comment down below if you want a part 3 because there's like so many more, or we can do other highways. We can do. You let me know.
A Spanish bullfighter has succumbed to one of the worst sports injuries imaginable. While fighting 4 bulls at once, the man known as the King of Bullfighters dropped his cape and accidentally left himself exposed. The crowd watched the incident unfold in stunned silence, which the bullfighter later described as the most painful experience of his life. After being rushed to hospital, he faced hours of surgery to repair a 4-inch tear of the rectum. And despite struggling to eat or even sleep because of the pain, I'm happy to inform you that he has posted a video from the hospital after surgery where he said that he is slowly getting better.
Oh my god.
I'm going to show you 5 different angles that we have of this UFO that was spotted in Miami. We've never had this much high quality footage of a single UFO before. Here we have a shot of it at the beach side in Miami, and if you look close you can see that it appears to be dropping something down to the surface. And then there's this one where you can see the same red lights and also the triangular shape, but with this one you can see that it seems kind of like spiky. And many people are speculating that this might be the mothership we've been hearing about for years that said it was going to reveal itself to humanity because the government is taking too long to reveal it itself. And here's the last clip where we can see the mothership from the opposite side of Miami Beach. And I think this is really cool because we've never seen a UFO with this many different camera angles. And of course the news isn't covering any of this, even though there's been many eyewitness reports who have recorded this at different camera angles all around the city. Because we know the news is fake, they've not been helping anyone ever. But I think the most interesting thing about this is we've been hearing about a mothership that was in around the Gulf of America region in Florida that said it was going to reveal itself to humanity at a certain point in time in the very near future because the government has not revealed it to the public yet when they were given a deadline to do so. And they've gone past that deadline, so now the aliens or whoever's up there is now going to reveal itself to humanity on its own.
I don't know about you, but me, this would bother the living hell out of me for a long time, regardless if I got a discount or not. And what am I talking about? A guy ordered a brand new refrigerator from Lowe's. Sticker price was about $1,000. But when he got the refrigerator, take a look at what happened. Look at this.
All right, so I ordered this
Fridge
fridge from Lowe's. A Frigidaire.
Nice fridge.
I paid $1,000. It was $1,000 and some change. Well, it came in today, and check it out, guys. Look.
No.
1, 2, 3. Now, when the guy delivered it, it was strapped up, but apparently it must have got damaged in shipping. So we got on the phone, and I wound up getting this fridge for $500 off.
Not me. You're a better man than me.
Fridge. Pretty much brand new. I just got it.
No, I got that. That would annoy me. No.
Gotta have the baking soda.
Yeah, but not the dents in the door.
Anyway.
Sorry. Like I said, definitely a better man than me because I would have made them take that back so fast. Do you know how much that would annoy me? It's not just the 3. You could see there's another one all the way at the top. There is no way I'm keeping that in my house. I don't care if it's $500 off. There's no way. So you already know. My question to you is, would you keep this refrigerator and take the $500 off? Or would you send it the heck back?
No.
And get one that is not damaged? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
What would you guys do? I would not care. I'd be like, $500 off? Sure. Cool,
This
it
is
works.
disturbing, but it's also sad. There was this 15-year-old kid. His name was Mark Williams. And his biggest dream was to become a YouTuber, right? And what he would watch a lot would be parkour YouTubers. So he would want to become a parkour YouTuber. And then eventually in 2019, he ended up making a YouTube channel. And he first started posting these videos with his little brother.
Okay. Down. Down. Go straight across.
What are you doing?
See there. Straight there.
But then as time went on, his little brother would just stop being featured in these videos. And then during this time, it kind of deterred him from wanting to make YouTube videos.
My brother, who was part of the channel then, he's not now. I don't think he's coming back at all. He ditched me, leaving me by myself, and I've got a problem of talking to myself as well. I'm trying to stop that. I'm trying to get some proper quality videos going. I mean, I've been doing it for like 3 years now. You'd expect I should have got it right by now, and I apologise for that.
And even his mom says that he kind of had trouble making friends, but like it was just because whenever he would make friends, he chooses like the wrong crowd,
like
sometimes.
bad influences.
Yeah, and he's too much of a caring, loving person to kind of like look past their flaws or whatever, right? And then one time he gets like a comment from a deleted video now from a supporter of his videos. His name was Lewis, and this guy Lewis was like, he basically asked him to be featured on his next video, and from then on they would post videos together. But then again, he kind of stopped posting videos because as he got older, he had to start worrying about getting a job because he wasn't really getting money from this. It wasn't really blowing up. 2 months later, both Mark and Lewis, they go missing. And then what people say that happened to them was both of them went to like this pub. It was for them to like talk about a new video idea. Eventually it got to a point where Mark, he called his aunt. His aunt says that you could tell that he's drunk as. But Lewis, he was like, I'll make sure that I'll get him home safe. The next day after that, there were reports coming in of people saying that they saw Lewis. So they track Lewis down, I believe at his friend's house. They still don't see Mark at all. Lewis, he was not really budging on like where Mark was. So then they interrogated the friend, and Liam told them everything. That night, whenever the aunt called Mark, they were out drinking, but Lewis kept feeding Mark these cocktails that had like a alcohol. So after the call with the aunt, Mark had went somewhere to throw up, and then out of nowhere, Lewis took out a knife and stabbed him literally in the back. And then Mark, since he's still kind of drunk, he doesn't know what's really going on. Then Lewis just like laughs or giggles, and then just him over and over and over. And the reason why Liam knows this, Lewis had recorded the whole thing. Now there's no like there's no videos out there of this happening or whatever, right? It shows him stabbing Mark over 100 times, and he even shows himself ripping out his eyeballs out of his skull and like laughing about it like a fucking psychopath. And like he was like showing like Liam like, yo, look what the fuck I just did. And I believe it's like an hour long amount of footage that they found. And then
Selena looks different, and so does Ariana. She went back to brown hair, but anyways, this photo of Selena Gomez is surfacing, as well as her new music video, and a lot of fans are saying she looks different, but aside from that, her brand, Rare Beauty, commented on this TikTok user's video. It was a heart emoji eye, and the TikTok user says, point of view making Justin Bieber mad with my Rare Beauty gloss. The fact that Rare Beauty commented on this with the heart eye emoji, it's messy. Because Selena now, obviously, she's married, but fans are mad because there's also another theory saying that every friend she makes, she steals their man. So people are making this image, and they're just saying she just looks different. I think she's just in a different era. Maybe her villain era? But anyways, Ariana Grande said, it's good to see me, isn't it? With brown hair. She literally looks the same as she did 10 years ago. And even with the wig when she was on SNL, she looked good with brown hair. Like, I'm ready for Ariana to come back in her 7 Rings era. I'm over the blonde. I'm over the blonde hair. I'm over the blonde eyebrows. I think this comment is just wild, alongside this cartoon photo.
Y'all see this toddler have an absolute meltdown at the Great Wolf Lodge? They open the door and this little girl freaks out.
Come on, Mama.
She don't like this. So apparently this is a common occurrence. There's a story going around where these parents rented 2 rooms. And the rooms were adjoined by a door. The kids took the room with the bunk beds while the parents took the other room. So they enjoy their first day there, they go to bed that night, and the mom wakes up in the middle of the night freaking out. She's obviously distraught, wakes up the dad. He's like, honey, what's wrong? And she said she heard one of the kids yell, Mom. So the dad opens the conjoining door room, goes in, and his daughter is sitting terrified in a corner, like rocking back and forth. He's like, what's wrong? What happened? And she starts screaming, it's still in here, it's still in here. So he checks the entire room. There's nothing there. So the little girl tells him that she was asleep. She woke up because she heard the door open. And a man starts walking towards her bed. And at first she thought it was him, and then she realized it was a lot taller than him. She said it was also a lot skinnier than him, extremely white with no discernible facial features. She said she covered herself up with a blanket, and when she moved the blanket to see where it was walking back into the parents' room, so she got up and went into the corner of the room. At this point, the whole family is in the bunk bedroom, so they decide to stay in that room and go to sleep. They close the conjoining door room and lock it, and the dad turns on the closet lights and closes the closet door. So everybody goes to sleep, including the mom, but the dad's still up, and he notices the closet light turns off. He gets up and checks, nothing's there. He sits back down, and then he hears a knocking on the conjoining door. And at first, he was like, that's not happening. And then he finally gets up to check to see if there's something in that room. He opens the door, nothing's there, he gets back in bed. And then he notices his wife seems to be having a nightmare. So he wakes her up and she's freaking out. She said she had a nightmare that they were asleep in the room that they were in. She got up to use the bathroom and she somehow ended up in the other room on the other side of the door. And she was beating on the door trying to get back in because it was locked and she couldn't get in the room. Which is crazy because the husband actually heard it. So the next morning, everybody wakes up. The dad separates the kids and asks them exactly what they saw. Both of the kids described the same thing, except for the younger brother said the thing had glowing eyes and the sister didn't. And the mom asked who was yelling for her that night, and all the kids said, "We didn't yell for you." So even creepier than the kids seeing the exact same apparition, they both said that it was speaking in a whisper but in another language that they couldn't understand. So obviously after this, they decided to move rooms. And in their other room, they didn't have this problem. So I would love to hear if you guys have had similar experiences at the Great Wolf Lodge, or if there's anybody that's worked at one of these establishments that have experienced something.
They said I taste like piss, but you still can't stop drinking me. You ever wonder why? 21 grams of sugar in one bottle. You thought this stuff was supposed to be good for you? What a joke! They told you it's for hydration, but look at what you're actually drinking. A toxic chemical cocktail endorsed by your favorite athletes. You see that color? That's not fruit. It's red 40, yellow 5, and blue 1. But hey, you don't care though, right? You feel that coating on your tongue? Yeah, that's not hydration. It's glycerol ester of rosin. Look it up. Water, sugar, dextrose, modified starch, natural flavor. You don't even know what you're tasting anymore. Ever notice it doesn't feel like water? It's thicker. It coats your mouth. It lingers, almost like it's not real. So go ahead, take another sip. Your favorite players said it's good for you. What do I know?
You're already infected. Brain rot reels.
Man went to the woods alone and might have proved skinwalkers are real.
I don't believe in skinwalkers, so I brought myself to the middle of a forest and got lost to
This
prove their
man is
non-existence.
brave.
I decided to taunt them and then started hearing something calling for help outside my tent.
Skinwalker! Skinwalker! Skinwalker!
I honestly have no idea what that was, but there's only one logical
Something's
thing
trying
to
to
do at
draw
this
him
point,
out.
and that's to venture deeper into the forest until I'm completely lost. I've been warned by so many locals to stay away from this forest, so that's why I'm doing all the things that you possibly can imagine you're supposed to do. If skinwalkers are real, honestly, I might be in some serious danger, but there's one thing that scares me more than skinwalkers, and well, that's other people. I don't know who or what's out here, but every step I feel like something is watching me, and well, I was soon about to be proven right. I'm getting this feeling of dread, and I soon found out why. Someone has made these figurines and crosses and hung them from trees. As soon as I found them, I started hearing this off in the distance after I turned off all my lights and used my infrared camera.
Could be signs of a witch. Stay weird, y'all.
I have no idea what that is, but the only way to find out is to venture deeper to find it.
The Amazon River is over 4,000 miles long, making it the second longest river in the entire world, next to the Nile River. Now, there's something that I really need to understand about this, and I think I need your help. So, we all understand that water finds and seeks level. It doesn't matter what container you put it in, that's just what it does. And it always goes from higher elevation to lower elevation. The Amazon River is flowing from the mountains in the west all the way down and out through Brazil and into the ocean. But if it's over 4,000 miles long, then it's literally going over 1/7 of the planet's circumference. And that's me being generous with the numbers. So, can you please tell me how the Amazon River is not flowing in two separate directions in the middle if it's going over 1/7 of the planet's circumference? And watch this video. I thought it was really interesting. Notice how the sun is actually moving away and getting smaller and not setting over a physical curvature. So, where's the curve? And if there was any curvature, how is the water flowing upstream? That defies literally all laws of physics. All you have to do is think with your logical mind, and you can completely dismantle the globe model. But I made this video entirely for entertainment purposes only. This chalk ashwagandha genuinely makes me so chill that I don't even care that they're lying about the shape of the earth. This supports my mood, energy, focus, and actually makes me not give a fuck. So if you want some, comment info and check your DMs.
Our teacher was 100% hungover when this thing rolled into class. You knew they didn't want to teach. They were just hungover. If your mom didn't buy you nail polish because you were too young, that's okay because we had whiteout. Even if your initials weren't an S, everyone would draw this S. It didn't matter how dirty the walls were. When we walked down the hall, we would run our finger down. We would just see how long we could go. We all loved looking at this fish, but none of us really read the book. And the book was everywhere. If you had this notebook, you were a good student automatically. Half the time we just went to the library for the vibes. This is the vibe. And we don't know who told us to draw the sun in the corner, but we did on every single drawing.
Ma'am, that is not your dog. It might have been at one point, but it isn't now. Whatever on God's green earth is copying your dog is doing this, but that's not your dog. So a woman noticed every time she turned her back to her dog started acting like it wanted to bite her. Just watch this. Oh no. What the fuck? Now she said it started doing this after they went on a hike in the Escalante Petrified Forest in Utah. And her dog's been acting weird like this since. Just look at a couple of these freeze frames from where this dog is trying to eat her while she turns her back. Now that's a super predatory type of thing to do. Cats do that. Look, he got caught. Now it's doing it again. That almost looks like a person's face. That is weird. Now I don't know if y'all know this or not, but the area where she went hiking and her dog started acting weird, it's also a really big area where Native Americans talked about skinwalkers. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think you might have got your dog switched out with a skinwalker, honey. 'Cause what the fuck is that? The better question is why? Why is it doing this? What's y'all's thoughts on this?
Okay, we need to take a look at this table for a second, because when people think AI is going to like take the hard jobs and leave more for like humans to do fun things, that is so far removed from the reality of the situation. It's not even. So this says 2029, could be even sooner. Self-driving cars become ubiquitous. 12 million drivers unemployed. That's taxi cab drivers. And in China, we already have that situation. There's driverless cars all over the place. I'm pretty sure somewhere in Texas, didn't you guys tell me there's driverless cars? If you get in a driverless taxi, you might as well, you're probably going to get the brain implantable microchip as well. Doctors, AI diagnoses better than doctors, prescribes perfectly, never forgets. 2030, well, robotic surgery, surgeons out of business. That's coders. Of course, I don't even know really what a coder is, but I'm sure AI can do that. Teachers, didn't you just see Melania Trump say, teachers will be robots? Lawyers, we already know lawyers, consultants, and accountants literally will be replaced like very soon. This says 2031, I think within like 12 months. Artists. Now, artists is one thing, like, yes, AI can generate anything, song, music, movie, on demand, etc. But I think that real art will still be, should be still anyway, sought out. Factory. Lights out manufacturing. They don't need to install lights in a big factory where robots work. Now here, soldiers. AI cops, robo-cops. You think cops are safe from the AI thing? I don't think so. This screenshot is from this book right here, and then someone put it together called Thought Capital. Now, this is part of the grand plan to unemploy a bajillion people and then create a new financial system called universal basic income. We all know the plan. But clearly, they are extremely invested in us being more artificial and being less organic and being more synthetic, especially when you look at what's going on in the food and water supply today. They want you weak. If you think it's important to boost your vitality, right now Chalk is giving away free $100 bags of organic heirloom cacao from Bolivia, the chocolate powder, which is super detoxing and delicious. And if you combine that with the hot water purified shilajit, you're getting some of the most powerful adaptogens in the natural world. Comment free below and check your DMs for details.
husky in Saskatchewan loves her doggy daycare so much that she actually took herself there without her humans on a day that she was supposed to skip it and go to the vet. Staff at Spot's place were pretty startled when they looked outside and saw a loose dog running around in the parking lot, and they quickly realized that this was a dog they already knew very well. Missy the husky evidently didn't agree with the vet appointment and decided she was not going to miss a day of daycare if she had any bark in the matter. She normally attends every Monday through Friday, and she's so well established in the social structure that she even has a boyfriend there named Shaggy that she's attended doggy prom with. But it was clear to Missy on this particular morning when they hadn't left the house on time that her routine had been tampered with. She wouldn't have it. So after her human let her out in the backyard that day, she snuck out. She managed to dig her way under the gate and out of the backyard, and because they usually bike to daycare in the mornings, she already knew the route very well. Shortly thereafter, she was at the front door of Spot's place, covered in mud, waiting patiently to be let in. And she clearly fully believed that she deserved extra treats for her dedication to perfect attendance. Employees were shocked, but nonetheless delighted to see her, and Missy's tenacity was in fact rewarded. She not only got to hang out and play with Shaggy, she was also treated to a special spa day while she was waiting to be picked up. Missy is now an internet legend, and she's blissfully unaware of the amount of work she's added to her humans plate in terms of reinforcing the gate so that this never happens again. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day.
Almost thought this was fake at first, but there's a town in California where stores like McDonald's, Walmart, and Starbucks are all illegal. Carmel by the Sea banned corporate chains and big box retailers in the 1980s, making it one of the first cities in America to do so. There are no drive-thrus or strip malls, as it's all written directly into their municipal code. Every restaurant is independently owned, every shop is local, and a third of residents run their own businesses. Most of America has been hollowed out by corporate consolidation with the same 5 chains on every block, but Carmel didn't want that.
You're probably looking at this thinking it's pictures from somewhere in Europe, but Carmel has unique character, incredible walkability, and an unemployment rate at just 3%, proving this anti-corporate model works.
The best way to mitigate the strip mall takeover is by supporting your local farmers, and that way we don't have to watch them swallow up every town in America.
You hear about Dante's Inferno? The different levels of hell?
No.
I think it's a mythology.
Yeah.
What people considered hell to be, and Dante
Dante's
wrote
Inferno?
these things about the different levels of hell, purgatory,
Really?
and what would happen. Yeah. Apparently the deepest part of hell isn't hot.
It's not hot?
It's not hot. It's not fire.
So
you know
what
it
is it?
It's cold. And
What?
it's freezing. They always said in Dante's Inferno, it's underneath the rest of the world.
Okay.
And it's ice cold. Crisp cold.
I know where you're going with
Check this out. What is under all of civilization?
Oh.
Antarctica.
Yeah, okay.
Like they say in the deepest part of hell
Yeah.
was all of the beasts, the fallen angels that God punished.
And
that's where they're trapped. They're frozen.
Oh, they're
frozen.
frozen.
And when the apocalypse comes, that's when they get thawed out. That's when you start to see like the Leviathan.
Yeah,
the beast,
yeah.
all of the things in Revelation.
Oh my gosh.
So people theorize the hell they're talking about
Yeah.
is Antarctica.
That makes sense though,
So that-
because
that
why?
might be where the dragon is.
Yes, because why is it so heavily guarded?
There's a new trend on TikTok, and it's called Scientology Speedrun. And the goal is pretty simple. Run as far into a Scientology building as fast as you can before getting caught. And if you are stopped, brace yourself, because they do not hold back when they kick you out.
Get out! Get out! What are you doing? Get out of the building! Now! You're trespassing! Get out of the building! Get out! Get out! Stop it! Get out! Just get out! Just get out! Thank you! Go!
But guys, this has become so much more than just a joke, because some people are going as far as to try and map out the entire layout of this building so that they can plan their future runs in order to make it even further and break what they're now calling the speed run record. Bro, this is becoming Subway Surfer Scientology. And it's not only that, because one group recently brought an air horn along with them to cause the biggest disturbance possible.
Guys, this is officially the last warning that you're going to be able to get because this is happening tonight and you need to make sure that you do not miss it. So happening tonight, the Lyrid meteor shower is going to be hitting its peak, and this year the conditions to see it are basically going to be perfect. The moon is going to be setting after midnight, which means that you're going to have a pitch black sky for the entire peak, and that makes the meteor so much easier to see. This meteor shower is most famous for the fireballs that can shine so bright that they outshine every other star in the sky, and they can leave glowing trails behind them. So you want to make sure you don't miss it. The meteors that you're going to be able to see tonight are completely harmless, and they're actually just pieces from a comet 250 years ago. But on Kalshi right now, people have put $110,000 on whether a major meteor strike would hit Earth by 2030, and 58% of people think that it will. So that's insane. The best time to go outside and look is going to be around 2 a.m. You're going to want to face east and then find the brightest star in the sky that you can find. That's going to be Vega. And then all you need to do is obviously look up and let your eyes adjust to the darkness. You do not need a telescope and you do not need any equipment at all. Make sure you do not forget, and if you find anything, make sure you send me photos and videos so that I can share.
Okay, this is straight out of a horror movie. And I thought about this because if they don't want us eating cows and they don't want us having, animals and whatnot, people are obviously going to hide them and have them. Well, in France, French police are using drones with thermal imaging to locate cattle that are hidden in the countryside, whose owners, the farmers, refuse to, you can fill in the blanks. Once they're located, huge teams of police, and there's a video of it, show up, and administrators are there to get their livestock, to administer the quote-unquote medicine to their livestock. And I'm sure the excuse is the same thing if you live in Kelowna, British Columbia. If you have an apple tree on your property in British Columbia, in Kelowna at least, and you don't spray it with pesticides, you have to chop it down. You have two options: spray it with pesticides or chop it down, which is hilarious because if pesticides work, all the farms that get sprayed should be safe, right? But the one apple tree's spray doesn't work unless all the trees are sprayed. Does that sound familiar, dude? Mine doesn't work unless you have yours, and the same thing they're doing now with cows. Dude, if you're in France, you need to, I don't even know what to say, like a bajillion people need to say no to this right now. Because first, it's your animals, your pets, your animals, your livestock, then it's you. Now, I don't have all the answers, but I do know clearly they want us in a lowered state of consciousness today, and they want our pineal glands calcified. If you think it's important to detox and rejuvenate your system from all the crazy stuff we're exposed to, right now Chalk is giving away free $100 bags of the organic heirloom cacao from Bolivia, the chocolate powder, which is super detoxifying and delicious. And if you combine that with the hot water purified Shilajit, you're getting some of the most powerful adaptogens in the natural world. Comment the word free below and check your DMs for details.
So you're telling me that nobody sees anything wrong with the fact that the media has been very dismissive and very little coverage of the missing scientists and even the ones that have popped up dead. And why do I say that? Because another name has just been added to the list, not on the missing side, but on the DOA side. And the latest name to be added? This scientist right here, David Wilcock. And yes, this is the same David Wilcock from the show Ancient Aliens. He's also a UFO researcher. And the claim is that this individual has passed away at the age of 53. And keep this in the back of your mind. There are 11 other individuals that either did the same thing he did or something similar to it. But the one thing they all have in common is they're either missing or they're dead. So the question that needs to be asked is what is going on? Have a listen to him in his own words just a couple of days ago.
Every day that I have on earth is a gift and a blessing, and I'm very grateful for that because, frankly, people are disappearing. Scientists are going missing. Now they're saying they're going to investigate this. The president himself is saying they're going to look into this and see if anything's going on. It's a little bit scary.
And those are in his own words. Fast forward to today. Authorities get a 911 call. They show up at this man's house and they find his body. And also in that video, he sounds a lot like an individual that's more concerned about the safety of his own life rather than an individual talking as if he was going to take his own. And once again, this is the type of stuff he was studying. And if you go back and play the video he was talking about, how people are disappearing, people are missing, and the president is going to investigate this. But one thing you should take note of in that message, what he said, it's very scary. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
For the first time in over 15 years, the world's most valuable company has a new leader. But what that means for Apple's future might be more significant than you think. 'Cause Tim Cook, despite the huge shoes he had to fill, he turned Apple into an absolute financial beast, making it the first company in history to hit a $1 trillion valuation. And since achieving that in 2018, he has quadrupled the company's valuation. But it wasn't just the money, because while at Apple, Tim Cook also oversaw the release of industry-shifting products like the Apple Watch and the AirPods. However, it's not all praises, because Cook is being continuously criticized for failing to do anything revolutionary with the iPhone. And then, of course, there's Apple's failures with AI and the Vision Pro. But that is exactly where everything could be about to change. Because the man taking over, John Ternus, is not just anybody. Unlike Tim Cook, Ternus has vast experience as a hardware engineer, similar to Steve Jobs himself. In fact, Ternus has played a pretty big role in almost every single major product that Apple has ever released, because he has served as the head of the engineering department, and he's worked for the company for over 20 years, including under Steve Jobs. So with a hardware engineer now leading Apple into its new era, the question is, can they still cook without Cook?
So Israel announced recently that they're going to be hosting the largest Pride Festival of 2026, and it's going to be happening at the Dead Sea. Now, I just have a few questions and concerns. Point number one is that the last time something like this happened, it didn't really end well. Point number two, why is our greatest ally hosting the largest Pride Festival? Point number three, I don't really appreciate the ground that my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ walked on is going to be desecrated by a bunch of homosexuals. And point number four, I don't really care whether this happens in Israel, America, Australia, China, Russia, wherever, it's wrong. Why in the world does the Holy Land of all places need to be absolutely disrespected like that? And to all my Christian evangelicals, are you going to let this slide just because it's happening in Israel? Are you going to allow it and say that it's okay because it's happening in Israel?
Three grand jury investigations, cell phone wiretaps, and child pornography on his phone. David's preliminary hearing was supposed to be today. Welcome back to law school, I guess. So a preliminary hearing is where prosecutors lay their cards on the table. Police, investigators, all of it. You see the evidence they have in the case many times for the first time. That was supposed to happen today, but it did not. The prosecution hasn't finished turning over preliminary discovery in the case to the defense attorneys, and I'm not even sure they have all the discovery organized themselves. So the judge continued the hearing until May 1st. And even then, that date isn't confirmed. The judge said it depends on how much discovery actually gets turned over before then. Here's the news that broke today. Prosecutors allege that they found a large amount of child pornography on David's phone. They didn't confirm whether any of it involved Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and they also said that there were wiretaps that they had on his phone as well, which means they got it, he again cooked. They also said there were 3 separate grand jury investigations, and yesterday the coroner confirmed that she was killed with a sharp object. The prosecution said they want trial within 60 days. That is you never see that. That is really, really fast. So you should expect a lot more detailed evidence. May 1st is the next court date to watch if discovery gets turned over.
The mass shooting that involved 8 children, we now have the identity of that shooter. The suspect has been identified as Shamar Elkins, former U.S. Army soldier who shot 8 children dead, injured 2 women, one of them in critical condition. We're also getting reports that most of the kids were his. Apparently, he went to different locations to do these shootings. After he shot the 8 people, he carjacked someone. There was a police chase. They chased him down, shot him. He is deceased. As of right now, they said it's unclear what prompted the shooting. They know that it was some type of domestic disturbance. The children's ages range from 1 year old to 14. They have said that there were signs of mental health struggles. One of his Facebook posts, he had put God to guard his mind. Dear God, I ask you to help me guard my mind and my emotions. When negativity arises, remind me to say it does not belong to me in the name of Jesus. When depression tries to settle in, when anger rises, when anxiety or panic comes, give me the awareness to recognize what is not from you and the strength to reject it immediately in the name of Jesus. Also reports that some of the kids were running, trying to escape as he gunned them down.
So apparently our phones are now giving us something called popcorn brain, and it might even be the reason why some people make more money than others. Popcorn brain basically happens when your brain is used to constant fast stimulation. This includes short form videos, some video games, and infinite scrolling. Your brain basically adapts to processing information at an unnatural pace. So when something eventually requires real focus, it's going to start to feel really uncomfortable. And this might explain exactly why some people make more money than others. Because most high-paying skills actually require deep focus. And they require for thinking clearly for extended periods of time. But scrolling on TikTok trains your brain for speed. And when your brain gets used to these constant little dopamine spikes, deep work starts to feel harder than it should. Which makes building skills a lot harder. It makes your career growth a lot slower. And it just brings down your overall quality of life. I know I'm probably not the first person to tell you that doom scrolling is bad for you. But as a former 8-hour-a-day doom scroller myself, I can confidently say I make much more money ever since I brought my screen time below 5 hours a day. I did this by downloading this new app on the App Store called Spool. The reason Spool is so effective at lowering your screen time is because it introduces friction before entering some of your favorite apps like TikTok, for example. It does this by forcing you to give a written or spoken reason before entering some of your favorite apps. So instead of just subconsciously opening up TikTok and beginning to scroll, you actually have to decide and give a valid reason. This small habit is going to make it incredibly easy to put your phone down, and you'll usually end up further in the long run.
He landed in your yard and gave you a pancake. Would you eat it? Joe Simonton, a 54-year-old plumber from Wisconsin, would say yes. Back in 1961 in Eagle River, Wisconsin, Joe Simonton was doing dishes one Tuesday morning when he heard a very loud screech coming from his front yard. After going into his front yard, he would see a 30-foot long and 12-foot high metallic craft with a man wearing a very tight cap reaching out of it with some sort of jug. The thing or person in the craft was described as very small, under 5 feet tall, and tan skin. After some confusion, the creature kind of started making drinking signs at him, referencing towards the jug, and Simonton got the idea that he had to fill up this jug with water for this guy. He also mentioned that it was very difficult to look this creature in the eyes, because it felt like he was just looking into him deeply, and it made him very uncomfortable. After filling up this jug with some water, he handed it back to the creature, and he noticed there were 2 other very similar-looking people in the ship, one of which was doing what looked like cooking, and the other was just sitting in the back. That was when, I suppose in exchange for the water, Simonton was handed 4 pancakes. I say pancakes very vaguely because this is what they look like. I mean, that looks awful. By the way, throughout this whole thing, not a word was being spoken. The alien was just making signs at him. And after being handed the pancakes, the alien just kind of did a little salute type motion. And just as quickly as the aliens got there, they shut the hatch and they rose up and left. Of course, Simonton did taste the pancakes, and he said it tasted like straight cardboard. It was just awful. There was no flavor. Oh, and what were these pancakes made of? Reportedly, it was just flour, sugar, and grease. So, understand. Do you buy the very peculiar story of Joe Simonton's alien encounter? Let me know down below. It is a very strange one, to say the least.
Let me get this straight. He is claiming a group of aliens and a UFO came in and asked for water. In return, they gave him 4 pancakes, and bro ate it. You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. You're absolutely insane. I don't know what to tell you. That's like...
This is a real photo of a human foot and leg that washed ashore in Canada. Since August of 2007, at least 20 different human feet have washed ashore near Vancouver Island in Canada. As you can see here, here's a map of kind of what's happening. And literally, people will find entire feet, legs. They have no idea where these body parts are coming from. So the last foot actually washed ashore in December of 2025. This washed up in Washington. And obviously this case has been deemed to be incredibly unusual by experts. And that's because these feet are washing up by themselves. There are literally no traces of any other part of the bodies that these feet once belonged to. People think that a lot of different things could be happening here. This could be the work of a serial killer, as some have proclaimed. And some people say that this is a natural phenomenon, people drowning or dying in just kind of weird ways in the wilderness. However, it should be stated that there is something wrong with Vancouver Island, Canada. For several decades, people have been disappearing off the island at a rate more than twice the national average in Canada. Hikers, children, tourists, locals, it doesn't matter. There are all sorts of people disappearing from the island. And at the same time, in the areas nearby, we have all of these feet washing up whose owners are never found. It's definitely an incredibly eerie rabbit hole to look into. And the new film Hunting Matthew Nichols is inspired by these events. I am absolutely incredibly excited to see this film. It's an independent horror film. The film is in theaters April 10th, but you can join the hunt online now. They have an incredible immersive website for the film set up. And yeah, this is one of those films that I'm absolutely incredibly excited to see this year, especially seeing that it's based on a true crime case that has fascinated me for years. The trailers for the film are online now, and maybe I'll see one of you guys April 10th in the theater when I'm there with my wife to see the film.
Guys, look what I found! Look at these people! Look at these people! Doesn't that look like the astronauts? The astronauts? I mean, they look exactly like these people. The astronauts. Okay, let's go here again. The green thing. What is the green thing for? Like, I mean, what is the green thing? Does someone know what the green thing is? It looks, I mean, that microphone and that microphone looks exactly the same. But I might be wrong. And this position and these positions look exactly like this. Isn't it very, very accurate? What do you think?
Whoever leaked those pictures, you're getting fired soon.
Betting in this country has spiraled out of control. So Polymarket, which is like Kalshi and a bunch of other futures betting markets, is destroying society, basically. You've definitely heard of it by now, but basically, in order to skate gambling laws in various states in the United States, there are companies that allow you to trade things that would happen in the news, right? So basically, you can bet whether something will or won't happen. Like, you can bet who's gonna win the Oscar. You can bet what the weather is gonna be tomorrow. Like, anything. That's bad enough. Your phone's already addictive, and just making it easier to bet is bad enough. But it also is starting to have dark ramifications on war and just violence in the world in general. Right now, the United States is in an illegal war in Iran, right? So just the war itself is a crime. But for some reason, in the United States, American citizens can bet on the actions of the military in this war. Like, for instance, you can bet when it's going to be over or when certain military strategies are going to be used, like putting boots on the ground. And people with obvious insider information to what Trump is going to tweet out on a day-to-day basis are betting like tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars on very specific bets that they know are going to go through and making tons and tons of money off of it. Mind you, the United States has literally bombed an elementary school on the first day of this war, right? And American citizens are still getting paid off of it. But that's not even what this video is about. What this video is about is the fact that people are literally betting whether individual people will live in this war. A couple of days ago, a fighter jet was shot down over Iran, right? One of the pilots was immediately rescued, but the other one was missing. And for a long time, we didn't know if he was missing or potentially deceased or, captured by the Iranians. Like, there was really no way to know whatsoever. And people on Polymarket, the betting gambling app, basically cast bets based on whether this guy was going to be captured or be alive or whatever. And check it out. The guy ended up being fine. Like, we rescued him somehow. So good for that guy. But it's like, dang, yo, it's like, wow. Polymarket did apologize, but it's like they're really just apologizing because their PR is bad. It's like the whole premise of your website is that you can bet on bad things happening to people, yo. And maybe if you're crazy enough, you can even make those things happen yourself.
Have you guys noticed how many scientists have gone missing or died lately? All these incidents happen within about a year of each other. These are all separate incidents involving people in science, aerospace, defense, or nuclear-related environments, so it's just a coincidence. But let's just look at these. We'll start off with William Neal McCaskill. He ran one of the Air Force's top science divisions. He was basically in charge of developing future military tech. He disappeared from his home without his phone, without his glasses, without his smartwatch. He had a wallet and gun missing, so maybe he took that. But you don't need no glasses to see. The sweatshirt was then found over a mile away, but nobody has seen or heard from him since. Then you got Monica Reza, and she worked on materials used in spacecraft and propulsion systems, basically the stuff that rockets are built from. She disappeared during a daytime hike as well. No trace found at all. No known health issues. Search just ended without any answers. Then you had Carl Grillmayer. He was a Caltech astronomer. So he was shot and killed at his house, and nobody really knew what the motive was initially. A suspect was later arrested. They say that it's a regular homicide case. The same thing that happened to Nuno Loureiro. He worked on fusion energy. He was trying to create power like the sun. Was working on a huge future energy breakthrough. He was shot and killed at his house. They treated it like a normal homicide investigation. There was news that it might have been some former classmate or something like that. Melissa Cassius, she was a Los Alamos employee. Now, she was not a scientist or anything. She was an administrative worker at a U.S. nuclear research lab. So the people think that she might have known internal operations, people's schedules. She just vanished after being seen walking near a highway. Left behind her purse, left behind money, left behind her ID. Phones. Family says her phones were factory reset.
Factory reset.
When's the last time?
Never factory reset.
People don't just factory reset phones. All this stuff, they're unrelated incidents. They're not tied together. They're not connected. Just people just have noticed, like, what? This is a lot of knowledge that we just lost in it.
I didn't know the creepy guy that dressed in all black and then went up behind that man who proceeded to try to shove this man in front of an incoming train. I didn't know this was like a stranger situation.
That's
this guy literally comes up from like the other side of the train, sees this man alone, checks, and then sees the train coming, waits, and then tries to shove him. Thankfully, this man was strong enough to where he just didn't get pushed in front of the train. But they not only identified this man, he has been charged and we now know his criminal history, and you're like, how the hell was he out of prison for him to be able to commit this crime? The suspect turned out to be Alicio Melendez, who had a history of not only mental illness, but violence against others. And we're talking all the way back to 2021. They described it as a clear history of problems with violence. They make a statement like this clear cut, you know it's bad. This being an incident that happened between him doing this to a stranger completely unprovoked. Then back in 2018, he punched a woman in church. Was she doing anything to him? No. Another completely unprovoked situation. This attack on her was so bad that she had to get multiple stitches. Then again in 2019,
there's more.
This man used a knife on his own sister. This is when things get alarming because he attacked her in the stomach. He then is supposed to stand trial, but he's found not competent to stand trial. And I'm like, I thought whenever you're found not competent to stand trial, you still get a trial. But no, apparently in his case, he was basically allowed to now be out and free. He was in a mental facility when this happened. Again, me thinking someone being in a mental institution means you can't leave that institution. Did he break out? No! This man assaults a stranger in 2018, assaults his own sister in 2019, and then does this to another complete stranger, to cause as much bodily harm as you can cause another person, not because he broke out of an institution or broke out of jail, having already been found to be mentally unstable and extremely violent, but because after multiple evaluations, he was determined not competent to stand trial. So I'm just wondering what has to happen for someone like this to be taken off of the streets. And I'm talking taken off the streets and not allowed back on the streets. And honestly, how many other people are there like this that they're just letting walk around, just scoping out their next victims?
That's absolutely insane. Why?
I would never harm myself, and I love life. Now that's been established, this document inside the Epstein files talks about 2 girls being buried on Zorro Ranch, where they redacted it, but I found it unredacted, and you're going to want to follow along. Take a look. This is the docket number.
Locked
You
in.
see
Pay
redactions,
attention.
but we'll just start real quick. This is sensitive, so it'll be the first and last email, depending on your discretion. You can either choose to take it or trash it. But this comes from a person who has been there and seen it all, and a former staff of the Zorro Ranch. The material below is taken from Jeffrey Epstein's home as my insurance in case of future lawsuits and litigation against Epstein. Sorry, no questions. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written. Did you know? Oh, wow, how convenient, it's redacted. And here are the video footages of Jeffrey Epstein with CSAM committing the crimes. Also, look, 19 minutes, underage girl. 13 minutes, blank video with a minor. Okay. It gets worse. Because I found the same file unredacted. Would you look at that? Matthew Mellon. 7-minute video with an underage girl. Matthew Mellon. I guess why they unredacted this one is because he's already dead. How convenient. Right before Epstein died in a rehab center in Mexico.
How convenient.
This is the Matthew Mellon, by the way, who was with an underage girl. But it gets worse. 23-minute underage girl, blank fantasy video. You read this correctly. Read that. And then, blank attempt confession to Madam G audio. Here you can have it. These are all links that were sent. And the FBI saw this. They saw this. Look, subject to protective order paragraphs. Look, they've seen this. No arrests. And it gets worse. What is Madam G? Well, madams get called madams because they are the women who help specifically in trafficking. Madam G. But let's get back to that bodies part on Zorro. Did you hear this? Has yet to be written. Remember this was redacted? Did you know somewhere in the hills outside of Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G? Both died by strangulation during rough blank blank. And actually, Al Jazeera, I posted another video, you can take a look at it, found 2 plots on the hills of Zorro that were dug up. You didn't see that? Take a look. Al Jazeera got a tipster's correspondence and photos via public records request with the DOJ of New Mexico. And the person said, I know this is illegal that I snuck onto the property, but men like this don't deserve protections from the law. Here's photo 1 of supposed plot that was dug up on the hills of Zorro. And this one.
We're more likely to survive in Mexico right now with cartels battling it out in the streets than you are in your own country. Someone just explains to me how Americans are safer right now in Mexico than Americans who are in America. How? Because apparently in Mexico, even though they're having like buildings being set on fire and all like this tumultuous thing is happening, like these cartels are like battling and are mad, they're like leaders, and then also mad at the U.S. because the U.S. was involved in that. Even then, entire year, there's less than like 200 Americans that kick it in Mexico. And of those, they're saying it's like around 80 are actual homicides. Versus just in the last 2 months in the U.S., that number, it's almost like the same. Just in 2 months, I think we've had 79 of those. And then the Austin, Texas shooting that just happened, 19 people were shot at. So honestly, just in Austin, Texas, as of March of 2026, like our numbers are far exceeding in a cartel fighting it out across the country of Mexico. And people are telling Americans not to go to Mexico when it's in fact apparently safer for Americans.
Look at this video of the Artemis II crew genuinely ziplining out of the rocket while it's blasting off. Now, why on earth would the Artemis II crew do this? My theory is that is just a giant helium balloon with no one in it, and it's just launching off and then going into the Atlantic Ocean, because we cannot go past the firmament. Outer space is not real. 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 members of the Artemis crew ziplining away before the helium balloon blasts off and falls into the Atlantic Ocean. Now, what's really weird is, have you paid attention to the suits of the Artemis crew? It looks just like the suit of a certain organization. And if I mention this organization, this video might be banned, which is also kind of fishy. The symbols are everywhere, guys. I wonder what kind of symbol is on his ring. And what about Katy Perry? You know when she went to space? Look at her patch. Looks kind of similar. Let's turn it upside down and see what it looks like upside down. Huh. It kind of looks like a goat, or a ram, or should I say, Baphomet. Now the symbolism is everywhere, guys. It's all over the place. All of these people are telling you the master that they serve. They are all telling us. But of course, just keep eating your Frosted Flakes, drinking the Kool-Aid. I made this video for entertainment purposes only.
Guys, the engine just fired. The crew has officially left Earth. They are headed to the moon right now, and the footage of Earth shrinking behind them is giving us chills. Last night at 7:49 p.m., the Orion spacecraft fired its main engine for 5 minutes and 50 seconds. NASA called it flawless.
The burn was executed by our flight operations team here in Houston, and it was flawless. The burn was the last major firing of this mission.
And whenever that engine stopped, for the first time since 1972, humans have officially left Earth's orbit and are headed towards the moon. On the live stream, you could literally watch Earth getting smaller through their window as they pulled away. Commander Wiseman said that you can see the entire globe from pole to pole, and that it paused all 4 of them in their tracks.
And I don't know what we all expected to see in that moment, but you could see the entire globe from pole to pole.
Jeremy Hansen said humanity has once again shown what we are capable of. That engine burn just sent them on a path that carries them over 4,700 miles past the far side of the moon. This is about to be farther than any human being has ever gone in our entire history as a species. And happening right now, as you are watching this video, they are out there getting farther from us by the second. Make sure you go ahead and follow me right now, because I will be here every single day with updates until they're home.
All right, so I might sound very uneducated, and if I do, I'm very sorry. But there's one thing that's bothering me regarding this whole situation about going to the moon, whatever, or how we landed into the moon before. Why are we not capable of landing in the moon today when we apparently did it in the past? Why is our technology worse and more capable before than now? Because, like, why are we circling around it? Why are we not landing on the moon? Like, why are we...
Y'all, this photo is so creepy. So if y'all don't know about the Kanika Jenkins case, girl, do not watch this at nighttime, okay? This is Kanika Jenkins' mom. Now, allegedly, she was found unclothed, at least from the top down. Now, I've always had some weird feelings about Kanika Jenkins' mom. I'm going to keep those to myself for the time being. If you want me to get to that later, I will. Now, if you don't remember this, she was awarded like a huge sum of money by the Chicago, like, I don't know, city of Chicago or something like that in regarding to the Kanika Jenkins case. And in 2000, I believe it was 2018 or maybe before that, 2015, Kanika Jenkins went to a hotel party with some friends, and she completely went missing for a while. Now, they looked at CCTV footage and saw her wandering the hotel. The footage was very choppy, broken. They ended up finding her inside of a freezer that was actually part of a, like, under construction extension of the hotel that was going to be like a restaurant, but it hadn't been completed yet. Now, the creepy thing was one of her shoes was off. She had cut. She had some type of rug in her system, like a sleeping rug in her system, and nobody came forward and said what happened. To this day, it's considered to be an accidental, but we know it wasn't. Boom, fast forward, Kanika Jenkins' mom. Everybody in the freaking city of Chicago is looking for her, including a guy by the name of Zach TV. Now, Zach TV was a influential a social media personality that would, interview rappers in the Chicago area. And he was pew-pewed because he was investigating Kanika Jenkins' death, and he was told to stop talking about it. Now, the creepy thing about this is Kanika Jenkins' mom, this is not the first time she was spotted without clothes on. This is the second time or third time, something like that. But this time she was found in a very weird state. So you can see the photo. They had to hospitalize her. This lady, I really feel like, I feel like she's working with them. I don't know, it's something creepy about this whole case. Like, every time I talk about this case, I get chills. And I truly feel like Kanika Jenkins was murdered for her organs. Now, the reason why I say this is because she was found, and after this, I believe they wanted to take her organs out or something like that, or she was missing organs. This is still a very, blur thing because, like I said, there was so much that they covered up because they wanted to hush up the family with money. This is a common thing they do with Black parents and families of, you know, cases like this where there might have been racial tension or racism involved regarding the victim, such as Kendrick Johnson. They gave the mother a settlement and they don't want you talking about it. This is a situation where I really feel like we need to keep talking about it and keeping Kenneka Jenkins' name alive, because if we don't, it's going to become another situation where this happens again.
Here's how you tell the difference between lab-grown meat and real meat. Number one is they call it self-cultivated or self-cultured. Most of the examples I've seen, they're calling it just cultured meat.
And just listen to the language they use. Picture this, you're at your favorite steakhouse for a special occasion. Yes, you're environmentally conscious and know that red meat is one of the worst foods for the environment. But this is a celebration dinner, and you only eat red meat a few times a month. On the menu, you see cultivated filet mignon, produced without animals. Would you order it? No. This could be the standard for restaurant menus in the next few years. Upside Foods and Good Meat are two companies that have gained approval to be able to make cultivated meat. And they're already selling it at two restaurants. So Bar Kren and China Chocano are two restaurants that now use lab-grown meat.
Also, Bill Gates is invested in Upside Foods, which makes me trust absolutely nothing that they do.
Bill Gates said, I do think all rich countries should move to 100% synthetic beef. For me, in the middle income and above countries, I do think it's possible. There are all these bills that say it's got to be called basically lab garbage to be sold. They don't want us to use the beef label. Yeah, Bill, because it's not beef. He's also backed up a startup called BioMilk, which is developing lab-cultured breast milk. No, thank you. Also, a lot of the menus, as I said, are just calling it cultivated meat, which doesn't at all make it sound like it's grown in a lab. It just makes it sound like fancy meat to the average viewer.
You want your meat to look like this? Or this?
That.
Why is Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice protecting this person? This is an email in the Epstein files. It's from a redacted name to Epstein saying, thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. It makes me feel weird saying it. But why is this redacted? Why are they protecting this person? And it actually continues. In a separate email, Epstein said great. And both times where you can see that person's identity, it has been redacted. Now remember, Donald Trump, his Department of Justice, his FBI, said there's no evidence that any other men were involved, that Epstein gave little girls to any other men. This seems like some evidence to me. They say there won't be further investigation, there won't be any more charges, but we have plenty of evidence from these files alone that other people did some pretty bad things, and not only are they not investigating those people, they're covering up for them. I'll put the number of the email on the screen right now if you want to go read it for yourself in the Epstein files, but disgusting. They are covering this stuff up.
New update on the Pusheisty case. He wanted to go back to jail. He told on himself. Man, that boy's fried. I'm sorry to tell y'all. Pusheisty was wearing an ankle monitor when he robbed Gucci Man and those other people inside the music studio, bro. They went to posting the jewelry that they stole from the people in the music studio. They bit and choked out the white dude that was there. He gonna be the main one taking the stand. Pusheisty's dad was the one who got the rental for the guys to go execute the plan. They got camera footage of them not only paying for the boys' Greyhounds, but also picking them up from their hotels. And they got Greyhound records of him sending off them dudes back to Memphis in Greyhounds. Yeah, I ain't got Pusheisty. Take the first plea deal they get in game. Might be 10 or something. Take this to trial, boy, you going under jail. And anybody that says otherwise is cap. Y'all really play with y'all freedom, y'all finna be back tickling boys. Because them white folk that y'all robbed at the studio is telling they're going to take that stand. There's no ifs and buts about it. They're taking that stand.
The U.S. is reportedly considering a mission to extract enriched uranium from Iran that's so complex it involves special forces and even building a temporary runway. According to reports, the operation wouldn't just be a quick raid like Venezuela. It would require airlifting large numbers of special forces, engineers, and equipment deep into Iran, using many aircraft in a coordinated insertion. Once on the ground, troops would need to secure the area and even build a temporary runway, which would in turn allow transport aircraft to carry and extract nearly 1,000 pounds of highly enriched uranium. This would essentially be establishing a forward operating base inside hostile territory.
What are we trying to do with uranium? Nukes?
You guys, Mega's latest conspiracy is that Jeffrey Epstein is Zohran Mamdani's father, and people are literally protesting outside of his house because they think it's true. So conservative influencers have been circulating these AI images of Zohran as a baby and his mom with Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein saying that these just came out in the latest Epstein files drop. Obviously, this is completely computer generated. It's not true. But millions of people are seeing them. Like this post alone was viewed 22 million times, and now people are protesting outside of Zohran's house. This is when AI gets so harmful and so dangerous, and it's important to spread the word that none of this is true. And also the hypocrisy of protesting Mamdani, who wasn't actually in the files, instead of Trump, the president, who is literally all over them. And like so many things, this started with a kernel of truth, because Mamdani's mom, who's a famous filmmaker, was mentioned once in the files. This email Epstein received from a publicist did just come out of the files. She said, just left the Lane's townhouse after party for film. Bill Clinton and Jeff Bezos were there. Jean Pagozzi, director Millionaire, etc. And Millionaire is Mamdani's mom. That is the one and only time she's mentioned in the files. And we know Lane was a socialite in New York who attended lots of premieres and events. So it's not surprising that she would host an after party for a film. Somehow that brief mention has spiraled into people thinking Epstein is Mamdani's dad. Things like this are a great reminder to be so critical when you get online and to really vet sources before trusting anything. We here in News Girls are still going through all of the files and making tons of videos about the revelations that we find. So follow us.
The federal government just confirmed that they are about to start diluting your gasoline this May. So basically, the EPA just announced that starting on May the 1st, gas stations across the country can sell E15 fuel nationwide. If you're somebody that doesn't know what E15 fuel is, it's gasoline that's cut with 15% ethanol instead of just the usual 10. And you literally cannot make this up right now because they are calling it fortifying the domestic fuel supply, which is a really weird way to say that you're just going to be adding more corn juice to people's gas.
The EPA has issued emergency waivers for gasoline blends like E15.
Now this is why it actually matters to you, because ethanol has less energy than regular gasoline, so your car gets worse fuel economy on E15. The entire point of this is that you might be saving about 25 cents per gallon at the pump, but you're burning through it faster, so obviously the savings just cancels itself out. But this is the part that genuinely nobody's talking about, because the EPA normally bans E15 during the summer because ethanol evaporates faster in heat and creates more smog. They explicitly know this, but they just decided to waive their own rule that they made anyways because gas prices are high right now and people are angry. And if you're somebody that owns an older car, a lawnmower, a boat, or a chainsaw, they're saying to be careful because E15 can mess up those engines. So they're making your gas cheaper by just making it worse. Is that even surprising at this point?
A chocolate company in California had to recall a bunch of their products after there was too much Viagra that was in their candy. They were probably wondering how boner pills somehow got slipped into chocolate. Well, this isn't your average kind of chocolate. It's designed to be eaten for special activities, if you know what I'm saying. And usually these chocolates have supplements in that make those activities a lot more enjoyable. But somehow there was too much Viagra slipped into this chocolate that could make it very, very dangerous. So in other words, you could literally die from eating chocolate that has too much boner pill stuff in it. So if your friends ever plan on getting this chocolate, you may want to wait just a little bit.
That's insane. That's crazy.
The judge presiding over Netanyahu's court case has been found dead. This is Benny Sagi, the judge that was going to put Netanyahu behind bars for the rest of his life due to obvious corruption charges. The judge was riding his motorcycle on the highway whenever a vehicle from an off-road area turned, hitting him, killing him instantly. For over 2 years now, Netanyahu has delayed his court cases through wars, through bombings, through strikes. And now the judge has been found dead, which is going to put the case off maybe over a year now, buying Netanyahu time to do whatever he wants.
Corrupt world we live in.
Gentlemen, let's stop these terrorists. I buried my wife over there. This is my golf course, for tax reasons. Anyways, let's build golf courses where all the terrorists live. Now watch us drive.
Does this woman actually have powers? If they didn't record this, I wouldn't believe it. Check this out, y'all. She starts to get the energy around her up. He does this and the wind just picks up out of nowhere. That's insane. We're so much more powerful than we've been led to believe. The powers that be don't want us tapped into all this energy. Y'all tell me how he's doing this right now. He just starts to float. How? And before y'all say he did it with the pole, check this out. There's no way he's supporting his whole body weight just with that pole. And look how quick he's moving that pole. There's no way. They don't want us knowing we can do stuff like this, y'all. The more advanced we become, the less tapped in we are with this kind of stuff. But let me know what y'all think. Is this camera trickery, or are they really doing these things? As always, thanks for watching. Stay weird.
So it's February 2024, and baby Charles, who's just a day old, is scheduled to undergo a circumcision by the doctor who had just delivered him, Dr. Hong An Jan. But instead of the doctor giving the baby xylocaine, which is an anesthetic, he injected baby Charles with Demerol, which is a synthetic opioid. After the procedure, Charles was given back to his parents, who immediately questioned what was wrong with Charles, but the doctor told him he was fine, the medicine just needed to wear off. So mom and dad end up taking baby Charles home, but call the doctor later that day because they knew something was wrong. But again, Dr. Jan assures them everything is fine, medicine just needs to wear off. Eventually, mom and dad become so concerned, they say screw it and drive the baby to Dr. Jan's clinic. Dr. Jan takes a look at the baby and says the same damn thing. He's fine, medicine just needs to wear off. So, reluctantly, mom and dad go home, they put baby Charles down for the night, and when they go to check on him at 3 a.m., he's cold to the touch. They rush him to the emergency room where he is pronounced dead an hour later. So the hospital runs toxicology, which is how they found out the baby was given this massive dose of Demerol. There was no anesthetic in his system whatsoever. Dr. Jan is being charged with involuntary manslaughter and has pleaded not guilty. His medical license has also been suspended pending the investigation.
YouTube has deleted 800 anti-Israel videos, as Trump is moving forward with labeling anti-Israel speech as hate speech. Meaning if you criticize Israel, this is classified as hate speech, which is a felony. 800 videos documenting Israeli war crimes in Gaza has been wiped off of YouTube due to the Israeli government's request to crack down on anti-Semitism on the platform. Trump is now working even more behind the scenes to send Americans to prison for hate speech felonies. Trump is already deporting people for speaking out against Israel, but people that are born in America cannot be deported. So they're now going to label this as hate speech, allowing born Americans to instead be placed in a prison for a felony. This would put Americans in jail for 5 to 8 years, all because of the criticism of a foreign government. We're also working with Meta and Amazon. And by the way, a federal judge has already ruled that anti-Israel speech is hate speech. Meaning if Trump follows this judge's ruling, we could go to jail for criticizing Israel.
Do not eat these chicken nuggets if you bought them from Walmart. These dino nuggets have been flagged as unsafe levels of lead in them. What? If you have a batch of the best by date February the 10th, 2027, and this is the code or the number on the bag, you need to get rid of them. And just so you can see right here, this is what it pretty much looks like. First, we had radioactive shrimp from Walmart, and now we have lead dino nuggies. I'm sorry, but I really am getting to the point where I don't want to buy anything else from Walmart because of this. I should not be concerned about lead in dino nuggies. I have kids. I have a 3-year-old that loves chicken nuggets. I'm definitely not buying this. I'd rather go to Costco or go to Publix or so many other stores now than Walmart. But yeah, if you think I'm joking, go look up, do the research. Yeah, literally lead. Literally unsafe levels of lead. If you have this exact code right here, like, it's ridiculous. Like, Walmart, you really need to get your act together. Because, I mean, you were like $1 billion corporation. And I don't understand how they could just let this happen. And I understand you could say, oh, it's a third. No, this is great value, the Walmart brand. Well, let me know in the comments down below, did you buy any of these nuggies in that specific time?
It's been over 24 hours since a U.S. fighter jet has been shot down over Iran and the pilot presumably captured, and the United States government hasn't made any kind of statement about it. The United States and Israel has been in an illegal war with Iran for a little bit over a month now, and it's escalating. It's looking like there's going to be boots on the ground within the next couple of weeks at most. And Iran is actually giving America a run for its money by being able to fire their advanced weaponry out of the sky. Yesterday, an image of a presumed crash site in Iran was posted all over social media. You could see the ejector seat of the flight that was supposedly shot down. Also, a pilot was rescued by the United States, but one of them is still there, right? Again, presumably a POW. Now, we don't know why they haven't commented on it yet, but it's probably one of two reasons. Number one is today there are speculations that Donald Trump might not be feeling well physically and that he might be in some kind of medical facility, right? Again, as of right now, those are just rumors. But it also could be the fact that the United States government's just really embarrassed, right? Like they just don't want to issue a statement because it's going to make it obvious that the war isn't going the way that they want it to. Either way, it's really disrespectful to the guy's family to not acknowledge that he's missing. You know, maybe the family knows about it, right? But the American people need to know about it too. After all, we're the ones that are fighting in this war. But yeah, it's a little risky to criticize a war on this platform. It's owned by Trump.
This is now the backbone of the American economy, and this is the guy who runs it, and it's not good. OnlyFans is by far the most profitable company in America. The company generates $156 million per employee. Compare that with all these other companies that we think of as powerhouses like NVIDIA, the chip maker, or Alphabet, Google, Walt Disney, Walmart. It's not even close. And so just think about the implications. What happens to society when we have an economy built off of getting normal people to do and consume adult content? Well, first we get mass loneliness, where men are dropping thousands of dollars on OnlyFans to just feel some kind of human connection with women. And on the other side, the girls are getting their soul sucked out of them. This particular creator says that she feels dead inside, doesn't feel any attraction to men anymore. Yeah, men and women don't want to have actual intimacy anymore. Look at the numbers. Only 37% of adults are having sex weekly or more, compared to 55% in 1990. In fact, the lack of social connection is more deadly than smoking 15 cigarettes a day, or drinking, or not working out, being obese, and much, much worse than air pollution. And just to top it all off, the number one donor of AIPAC is the CEO of OnlyFans. Okay, Leonid Radvinsky, the billionaire owner of OnlyFans, according to internal documents, he and his wife pledged $11 million to AIPAC, the most of anyone listed.
I mean, is Iran a bigger threat or is OnlyFans?
That is a great question, Tucker. You guys let me know what you...
Y'all, there's been a huge update in this case. So this is 12-year-old Eve Rogers from Enfield, Connecticut. And on Wednesday, March 18th, her mother found her deceased in her bedroom. The Enfield Police Department responded to the 911 call at 10:25 in the morning. Her mom, Melanie, told them that she had gone into her room to wake her up and quickly noticed that something was very, very wrong. So that same day, the Enfield Police, along with the Connecticut State Police Major Crimes Unit, spent over 12 hours processing the scene and collecting things that they thought might be relevant to the case. It hasn't been determined if she died as a result of a crime because the autopsy is still pending, so the medical examiner doesn't have a cause for her death yet, but the police department announced today, April 3rd, that her stepfather was arrested. This is him. His name's Anthony Federline. He's 39 years old, and the press release says that he's being charged with sexual assault and risk of injury to a child, and he's being held on a $1 million bond. Now, unfortunately, the police haven't released any other information, like if it was on Eve or a different child. People in the community are saying that he's apparently a bus driver for the school district, so it could have possibly involved one of the children he drives. But I want it to be known that in September of 2022, so pretty much right after she started 4th grade, her mom decided to pull her out and do homeschooling. And apparently there are other kids, but she's the only one that got pulled out. So of course there's been a lot of speculation going around, like maybe she was the victim of bullying, or, completely different, maybe the stepfather wanted her to be home more. Now, backtracking a little bit, last week her mom Melanie made a statement on Facebook, and it says, "Now that we've had a minute to gather my thoughts, I feel like I need to say some things clearly. I've seen people trying to connect Evie being homeschooled to the idea that the school system failed her. That is not true. The Enfield Public Schools showed up for her in every way they could. Homeschooling was not a result of failure. It was a decision made for her individual needs. The Enfield Public Schools have been nothing short of incredible. They showed up for her when she was there, and they continue to show up for our other children in ways that truly matter. And homeschooling did not fail her either. What happened has nothing to do with that. If anything, the only place there may have been a gap is within the medical system. She had appointments scheduled with specialists that were still months away. Maybe something would have been caught, maybe it wouldn't have. The truth is, we still don't know exactly what happened. We are still waiting for answers. But what we do know is that whatever happened was something within her, and that is the only truth we have right now. And I don't want her story to be turned into something it wasn't. Now, personally, I don't really know what to make of that, but as you can see, the mom's implying that there was some sort of medical issue. There's a lot of unanswered questions, but I'll be sure to let you guys know what happens with the investigation.
If you're not on Mount Everest tour guide scam talk, you have got to hear this. So this all started when police in Nepal noticed a huge spike of climbers needing to be rescued by helicopter off Mount Everest between 2022 and 2025. In fact, nearly 5,000 climbers had to be rescued off the mountain. Come to find out, 32 tour guides were being paid by local hospitals to make the climbers they were supposed to be guiding up Everest sick and need to be rescued. Some guides would wait for their climbers to get a mild case of altitude sickness and would give them the medicine to treat it, but encourage them to drink tons of water, which apparently makes the symptoms 100 times worse. Other guides would mix baking powder into their climbers' food with the sole purpose of making them so sick they can't walk down the mountain on their own and need helicopter rescue. It's estimated local hospitals took in more than $20 million in insurance money and would target climbers from the UK and Australia because apparently it's easy to pull over scams on their insurance companies. And I'm sure you can imagine, but people spend up to $100,000 to climb Everest. You need permits, guides, accommodations. It's not cheap. Not to mention, people spend years preparing for this once-in-a-lifetime climb, and then to be poisoned by the guide you paid to take you is insane.
All of this is now owned by one single family, the Ellisons. This is billionaire Larry Ellison, and this is his son David, and they've been on an absolute spending frenzy. First, they took over CBS Paramount in 2024 on behalf of Israel. Then last year, Larry Ellison bought TikTok, also on behalf of Israel. And now the Ellisons are taking over Warner Brothers for $111 billion. Keep in mind that Larry Ellison is the largest single private donor to the IDF, and he just so happens to be very close friends with Netanyahu. They wouldn't be trying to run some kind of psychological operation on us, would they?
Why can't Israel be doing some sort of, counterintelligence, information warfare like this, where they are actually doing the same type of, like a psychological operations in America?
All of this comes as, for the first time in American history, American support for Palestinians is greater than that of Israel. Probably all just...
I just gained over 150,000 followers in one single night from a single live stream, and I need to tell you what happened. So last night, we just streamed the entire Artemis 2 rocket launch on TikTok so that we could all watch it together, and I genuinely did not expect what was about to happen. At one single point, we had over 100,000 people in the stream all at the exact same time. You couldn't even read the chat. Whenever the stream ended, we had a total of 1.2 million people that were all sitting there watching it together. We were literally watching a rocket go to the moon. This officially just turned into one of the most insane nights I have ever been able to experience on social media. Guys, the part that is genuinely crazy to me is at one point I realized I had grown over 150,000 followers from that stream. I am going to be covering every single Artemis mission every single day for the next 9 days until the crew gets back. If you're somebody that is not following me yet, this is going to be one of the coolest series that we have ever done. Millions of us just watched a rocket launch together, and you need to stay updated until they get...
There have been some crazy things that we have found in the Epstein files, but this right here might be the darkest. This is from a limo driver who had met Trump in the 1990s, and he alleges that Donald Trump raped a young girl along with Jeffrey Epstein. The victim was then encouraged to go to the police, to which she replied, quote, "I can't because they will kill me." The victim did eventually report it to the police, but she was found a while later with her, quote, head blown off, and the police officers on scene stated that there was no way it was a suicide, even though the coroner ruled it as such. Like, what the actual hell is going on here, and why are we not doing anything about it? Okay, we gotta let these guys know that this does not end until people, these gross, disgusting people, all go to jail.
Trump is scrambling to get Ukraine and Russia to a ceasefire on Tuesday because Ukraine is facing a loss of the country. Russia is dangerously close to securing the 4 regions. And after they secure these, what can Ukraine offer at that point? For 4 years, Russia's been asking for that red line. And in 4 different locations, they've already passed it. Trump's telling Zelensky, if you don't accept this deal now, you're going to have to give up more in the future because you're losing these regions. This is the furthest Russia's extended the front lines this war. And Ukraine cannot keep up. The Kharkiv region in the red could be seriously threatened, because once Russia wraps up this in the south, they will focus all of their effort on Ukraine's second largest city. And Russia could attack it for multiple ways, which then again would push Ukraine to give up even more land for peace. If Ukraine does not give up these 4 regions, of which they've already fully lost this one, by the way, Russia could then focus on 3 more regions. If Ukraine doesn't give up the land in the yellow, they could risk losing the land in the red, which is half the country.
It happens when you start buying multiple Louis Vuitton bags, and then a Louis Vuitton agent shows up on your door demanding the bags that you bought and paid for back. Well, this is the update on the man who had this exact thing happen to him. He was buying legitimate Louis Vuitton bags, even had like authentication paperwork to prove that they were legitimate LV bags, but he was buying them at like estate sales. We're not just talking getting like discounted prices for these high-end designer bags. These weren't even really nice bags. These were really old, worn. A lot of them had defects, tears, holes in them, turning them into wallets. He was a leather maker. He even shared how he would take these designer bags that was destroyed, and instead of throwing them away, he would upcycle the material to make things like wallets. Well, Louis Vuitton found out. They ordered one of his wallets, and then they said he was using fake products. That's right, the purses he was upcycling, they were saying those were not authentic purses. Louis Vuitton then paid an agent to go out to this man's personal property and demand all of their bags and fake bags back. He refused. He knew his rights. He knew he could upcycle whatever. If you buy a bag, that is your property. You can do whatever you want with it. What he couldn't legally do was buy a fake Louis Vuitton bag and then try to sell it as if it were the real deal, which he wasn't doing. Even though he proved it that they were real Louis Vuitton bags, told them that he had every right and knew that he had every right to do whatever he wanted with them once they were his, they still threatened him with legal action and demanded all of these bags and their leather back. And what happened next is probably the most satisfying thing. Louis Vuitton had even hired the head of their fraud and knockoff department as an CIA, FBI agent to intimidate people like this leather maker into not doing what he legally can do and has every right to do, which is upcycling, recycling, repurposing, whatever you name it, to items he legally owned. To this day, he is still making the upcycled Louis Vuitton wallets. He is still a leather maker. He still offers these wallets. Thanks to all this, he's now added a piece of wall art from Louis Vuitton themselves. That's right, the paper they sent to bully, threaten, and take the products he rightfully owns from him, he now has framed hanging up on his shop wall. You want to check him out.
Breaking news, we have the remains of what appears to be a Chinook helicopter that was hit at the airbase in Kuwait. Obviously, this is a United States military helicopter. This is an Army helicopter specifically. I believe it's the CH-47. And clearly it is probably going to be unable to fly ever again, unfortunately, due to this war. It does appear to have an oil leak. So, I guess if they fix that oil leak, it still won't be able to fly. Poor helicopter. But as you can see, it does say United States Army on the side of it. And it is one of the helicopters that typically spins 2 rotor blades. It has to spin both of them, I think, or it'll crash. And at least the front one looks like it's probably not going to be able to spin right. You can tell because if you look closely, this blade right here is bent.
The U.S. Army CH-47 Chinook was badly damaged, essentially destroyed, after an Iranian drone strike at Camp Beering in Kuwait. The pictures we have of this helicopter show essentially the entire cockpit section missing. It was moved into this hangar at some point, but initially it was out in the open when it was hit. I don't think this is being repaired anytime soon.
Everest climbers are being given baking soda to make them sick. On purpose, because when you look ill on Everest, you need a helicopter rescue. So guides have been putting baking soda into people's food and drinks, way too much of it. That makes people get tummy issues, and it makes it look a bit like altitude sickness. A helicopter rescue costs thousands, and it gets billed straight to the person's travel insurance. They then get sent to a hospital. The hospital gets a payout from the travel insurance. The guides, the helicopter people, are all taking a cut. This has been known since 2018, but nothing's been done about it until January of this year, 2026. It's been reported by the Kathmandu Post. It was reported back in 2018. No one did anything. And we're talking over $20 million worth of insurance claims here. And hundreds of fake rescues. Absolutely fucking insane, but that's Everest for you, isn't it?
The FBI is now suing Americans for making jokes about Kash Patel's girlfriend being a Mossad agent. Elijah Schaefer, one of the biggest political voices in America, is being sued by the U.S. government for posting anti-Israel rhetoric, accusing Israel of controlling the United States and their politicians, citing this one: Israel has more control over the U.S. than we do over them. And he's being sued for $5 million from X posts. And it all revolves around FBI director's 20-year-old girlfriend, who's making a lot of videos about Iran attacking Israel. We must defend them. By the way, her boss at PragerU is a member of the Israeli Defense Forces Military Intelligence Unit, the same one that spreads propaganda online. That's literally Unit 8200. Now they're trying to get this guy to shut down his company over anti-Israel rhetoric. There's also many more influencers that are being sued by the U.S. government over criticizing a foreign country. Repost to spread the word, follow for the newest update.
This is one of the creepiest things that has happened to me, and I have video evidence. It's Scary Saturday. We're girly and we're weird, so if you like that kind of content, you'll like it. Here, grab your lip gloss and let's spiral. Don't forget to follow for more content like this. Now let's get into reading today's true story. When I was about 8 years old, I was taking my dog for a walk through the neighborhood with my mom. It was maybe around 11 p.m. We live near a swampy, woody area on the edge of our neighborhood in Lansing, Michigan. I remember it being very quiet and slightly windy. From down in the swamp, we heard somebody whistling at us. It sounded like a bird, but each whistle was different enough where the lack of consistency made it human. The whistle sounded higher than lower. I can't really describe it. My mom had a concerned, slightly terrified look on her face and grabbed my hand and said that we should go inside quickly. I didn't understand because I was too young, but seeing my mom freak out like this made me freak out too. And after a while, I forgot about it. 2 years later, taking my dog out again late at night. There was a large bush that could easily obscure a person behind it just next to the front door. As I was finishing the walk, the whistling noise started again. Same pitches, same inconsistent human-like tones. As soon as I heard it, a chill went down my spine as I remember the exact feeling of seeing my mom, terrified, looking down at the swamp, at something I couldn't see, and maybe she couldn't either. I ran inside as fast as possible. Years went by and I thought about it less and less. I told only a handful of people and eventually it slipped from my mind. Fast forward to last summer. I'm 24, started dating a girl named Sarah. We moved out to South Dakota for work. For Independence Day, we decided to go to Pierre, South Dakota and watch the fireworks along the bank of the Missouri River. There was a free camping spot behind a hospital where you could pitch your tent, hang out, and see fireworks above the river. As it was getting dark, the fireworks began. They were pretty far away, so the illumination they brought was very little. We had to sit right at the edge of the river to be able to see them. A huge thunderhead was moving in and a storm was imminent, so the air seemed electric and the wind was picking up. The atmosphere was eerie, to say the least. Suddenly, we heard the sound of a paddle methodically dipping into the water. We saw a figure steering a canoe a long way off the shore. Sarah decided to go get some more beers from the car, leaving me alone to stare at this mystery person. And then, of course, they whistled at me. My entire body was frozen and covered in goosebumps. It was the exact same whistler from my childhood, more than a decade earlier. I looked at the figure, but it was much too dark to discern who it could be. They were wearing a hat, and when they were perpendicular to the shore from me, they stopped paddling, turned the canoe to face directly at me, and whistled right at me. I was so frightened that I stood up and shouted at them, "Who are you?" I didn't say anything, just whistled a couple more times, turned the canoe 180 degrees, and paddled out of sight. I'm a videographer, so I already had my camera by my side and I was taking video of the fireworks. As the canoe was almost out of sight, I grabbed my camera and got a shot of them whistling as they went away. When Sarah came back from getting beer, she was very confused as to why I was so freaked out. When I explained, she was freaked out a little bit too. I was convinced that we would both be murdered that night. How did this whistling person follow me? After 14 years, all the way up to South Dakota. Was it a coincidence? Why was it the same whistling noise? Who was that person and where did they go? So many questions still unanswered. To this day, I'm more afraid of being outside in the dark, where I might hear that whistling again. Now here is the video that he recorded. That was all for today's story. Let me know what y'all thought about this one in the comments below, and I'll see you.
Even if you don't believe in it, you have to admit that reincarnation stories are fascinating. I know of so many of them, but this is probably my favorite because he would actually go on to meet the person he supposedly knew from his past life. And if you enjoy stories like this one, make sure to leave me a comment and follow for more. So this is James Leninger. He was born to parents Bruce and Andrea Leninger on April 10th, 1998. And right before James had his second birthday, he and his father had visited a flight Point Museum. And this is when James's fascination with planes began, specifically aircraft that was used during World War II. But within months of that visit, Andrea recalls running into James's room upon hearing him screaming during a nightmare. It was in May of 2000 when the silence of night was broken by James screaming, "Airplane crash, plane on fire, little man can't get out." When Andrea ran into his room, she said that James was kicking and rolling around in his blankets like he was dreaming about being in a struggle. And this would become a recurring thing night after night. It was around the same time that his parents began noticing him reenacting this scene with his toys. So now, his parents began to worry, and this is when they started to question him about it. James began to unravel this big story about how in his past life he had been a pilot whose airplane was shot in the engine and crashed into the water. But it wasn't just some dramatic story. He also knew details that made this whole thing unexplainable. Like the fact that his past self flew off from a boat and that his plane was shot down by the Japanese. He was even able to tell his parents the name of the boat he flew from, and he called it Natoma. Because he kept repeating that phrase, "little man can't get out," his parents would ask him who little man was, and he said James or me. When asked if he could remember anyone else, he offered the name Jack Larson. As James got older, he saw a photo of Iwo Jima and told his father, "My plane got shot down there." At the age of 11, a psychiatrist named Jim Tucker came to visit James and his family. This psychiatrist is known as one of the world's leading researchers on a scientific study of reincarnation and rebirth. And after a 2-day-long interview, psychiatrist Jim Tucker realized that there is documentation proving everything that James claimed. As it turns out, back on March 3rd, 1945, James Huston, a 21-year-old U.S. Navy pilot, flew his final flight after taking off from the USS Natoma Bay, which was an aircraft carrier that was engaged in the Battle of Iwo Jima. Huston was flying with a squadron of 8 pilots, including his good friend Jack Larson, when his plane was shot down and crashed into the ocean. Young James Leninger has since gotten to meet Jack Larson, an old friend of his from a different lifetime.
So I gotta ask, if you don't believe in space, what do you think about Elon Musk and his company SpaceX? SpaceX? More like... But seriously guys, do you really think this guy is for free speech running around the Met Gala in this jacket? What does that say? Novus Ordo Seclorum. And where have we seen that? And what does that mean? New World Order or New World Age? If you think that was just a coincidence, I got way more stuff to show you that, well, this guy is not the most honest guy. Like, does anyone else remember that time we caught a rat running around on the outside of his rocket?
That's going to continue to burn until 8 minutes and 44 seconds into flight. So a little over 2 minutes from now, we'll hear the call out Seco. It'll then be a little under.
Did you guys catch it? Here, watch it again, but slowed down and zoomed in. Or remember that time he said he sent his electric car out to orbit Earth? But there was a little glitch. You can tell it's real because it looks so fake. You remember those words, Elon? But was he trying to tell us something here? Now, I'm not saying Elon. SpaceX is putting on a complete show. They do have some real rockets. And of course, all this was for entertainment purposes only. This is strictly my opinion. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Don't forget to like, follow me, and share this. And like always, God bless.
An Air Canada flight was intercepted by U.S. and Canadian fighters after a passenger was found to be flying with stolen air miles. This one's pretty interesting. On March 18th, Air Canada Flight 833 was flying from Brussels to Montreal in a 777. Everything seemed to be going as normal, but when the aircraft entered North American airspace, it was intercepted by NORAD fighters. This response was triggered after authorities discovered a passenger was traveling under a false or conflicting identity linked to stolen Air Canada points. The issue was flagged when the real account holder attempted to board a separate flight while the plane was already airborne. And because an unidentified passenger on an international flight is treated as a potential security threat, NORAD escorted the aircraft for the remainder of the flight. The 777 subsequently landed safely in Montreal, where police detained and questioned the suspect.
Not a fitness or coaching video, but NASA launched Artemis 2 a few days ago to go on a mission to the moon or to orbit the moon, and I just wanted to talk about it because I love space. First off, they have taken some of the most breathtaking pictures of the Earth I have ever seen. Like, these are ridiculous. Everything that has ever happened in human history happened right here. It's just crazy. But then you see pictures like this, and pictures like this, and you remember that most of space looks like this. It is black, pitch black. Space is an infinite void of basically nothing, just little particles and dust. Light can travel around the Earth a little over 7 times in 1 second, and the observable universe is 96 billion light years across. And that is just the observable universe. There is more universe out there that we just can't see yet, and most of it looks like this.
Wonder why Cadbury cream eggs only show up once a year, and why people lose their minds when they finally come back? One tiny egg packs around 26 grams of sugar. That's like dumping 6 teaspoons straight into your mouth. You don't care though, right? That white filling isn't real cream. It's mostly corn syrup, sugar, and artificial flavoring whipped into a sticky syrup. Yuck! And that rich vanilla taste? Most of it doesn't come from vanilla beans. It comes from lab-made flavor chemicals and beaver glands. The chocolate shell often uses palm oil instead of real dairy, a cheap fat that keeps candy smooth, shiny, and shelf-stable. One egg can push over 150 calories, and nobody ever eats just one. Open that mouth. They only sell them for a short season, because scarcity makes people buy entire boxes before they disappear again. So the real question isn't what's inside the egg, it's why your brain keeps craving another one.
Sometimes people think if they hear someone knocking on their car window at night, it's just someone asking for help. That's the mistake. If you're sitting in your car late at night, parking lot, street, anywhere, and someone suddenly knocks on your window, do not roll it down. Do not unlock the car. Keep your hands where they are and look straight ahead. Because people who need help don't start with the window. First, watch the knock. If the knock is slow, controlled, not frantic, not desperate, do not turn your head fully towards them. Most people look right at the person. That's how they let them know they have their attention. Second, listen to what they say. If they actually open the window but don't explain why, just, hey, open this, or I need you to unlock this. Do not respond. People who ignored this said the same thing later. The voice didn't change. No panic, no urgency, just waiting. Third, stay still. Do not start your car immediately. Do not make sudden movements. If the knocking suddenly stops, but you still feel like they're standing right there, do not look. Because when someone walks away, you hear it. You see it. But if the knocking stops and there's no footsteps, then they didn't leave. And here's where it gets worse. If someone hits your window suddenly, hard, right where your face was a second ago, because you moved slightly, do not freeze. Drive. Immediately. Because whatever is outside your car isn't trying to talk to you. It's testing how close it needs to get before you react.
We now know the full reason why chocolate is not melting. For those of you that don't know, starting earlier this year, people noticed that their chocolate wasn't melting. This goes for when they're baking cookies, specifically when they're doing s'mores. And a lot of people notice this with Hershey's, but it's actually all chocolate brands. And the reason is actually really interesting. They switched from cocoa to vegetable oil, and they did this because of the rising cost of cocoa, and they did this for you. So it's not that they're just being cheap. They actually did it so they didn't have to raise prices to their candy bars, making it still affordable for the consumer. Though people are claiming that it tastes a little bit different, and that it has a rubbery texture, which most people don't want in their chocolate, it's interesting to know the real reason why chocolate is not melting. So the next time you go to melt one of your chocolate bars and want to know why it's not melting, it's not that there's something wrong with it, it's just made with different ingredients than it was prior. So if your s'mores or your chocolate chip cookies taste a little bit different moving forward, now you know it's because of the vegetable oil ingredient and it's not true cocoa. But what do you guys think about this?
Learned quite possibly the cutest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Do y'all know what this is? 24 hours a day, for 7 days, specifically white-spotted male pufferfish will create these geometric circles in the sand to attract a mate. They're so meticulous about these. Like, if a little piece of debris flies into their creation, he'll just fix what the debris messed up and then he'll clean it. Come on. They decorate it with shells. They're just little guys. There's another species of pufferfish called spy puffers that help the white spotted puffers find shells to decorate their circles with. The top tier of wingmen. Look at him! He's just so thrilled to be making a pretty little nest for a pretty little lady. I love them! And let me tell you, the females are choosy, which I am in full support of. Like, if these males are going to spend their entire lives making these art pieces for your attention, you can afford to be a little choosy. You are the prize queen. The amount of dudes' apartments that I've been in that have very clearly never been cleaned, meanwhile, the male-spotted white pufferfish is...
Guys, you need to make sure that you do not miss this because in 48 hours, the Artemis crew is going to lose all contact with Earth. And what is about to happen during that blackout has never happened before ever in history. So happening on Monday, the Artemis crew is going to go completely behind the moon, the side that we never get to see. And whenever they do, they are going to lose all contact with Earth. They've been setting up camera lenses inside of the Orion spacecraft so that they're ready whenever the time comes. Guys, the footage, the photos, and the streams from this day are going to be absolutely insane. This is by far probably the most insane thing that they're gonna do. Make sure that if you're watching this video, you go ahead and add me right now because I'm gonna keep you updated and post absolutely everything that they get. That way you can see it. And by the way, whenever they're on the far side of the moon with zero contact, Earth is actually gonna cross in front of the sun from their view. This will officially be a solar eclipse that nobody ever in history has ever been able to witness from that angle. Ever. Whenever those photos and the footage comes back, I'm gonna drop every single one.
So let's rip this haunted band-aid and let's look at the first one. Coming in as the top contender. Now this picture was taken the first night of our paranormal investigation of Old Town Spring during the Dinner with the Dead event in the former home goods store of Fads. Now this picture was taken by my paranormal bestie, Roberto. Robert, you know who you are. Now, a bit of the background of the history and the haunted history of Fads is that Fads used to be a group of Sears Craftsman homes that were relocated in the early 1900s in Old Town Spring. You see, there was a husband and wife that used to live in one of the homes, and it is said that the husband had unalived his wife, and it is said that it is her spirit that is connected to those Craftsman homes. And then obviously, number 2, an oldie but a goodie. In December of 2025, I led a public investigation over at the Memory Park by the San Fernando Mission, and surrounding legends that pretty much covered this entire property was that of the woman in white. This was taken around 10:15 at night. I had sent a group further out into this location to start taking photos. Now, many people said that it was Photoshop, which, I mean, for all of us who were there, we saw this group taking photos, especially the gentleman that took this photo in real time. Like, if you have Photoshop on your phone, you know how long it takes just to open the app, log in, and start putting in those layers. It's a pain. Now, he showed me his phone. He showed me the apps on his phone, nothing out of the ordinary, but I thought it was a really, really good catch. This one is interesting. This one was captured in Lilydale. This was captured by our friend, the haunted therapist. I'm going to tag her down below. This was an investigation that was led also by Tawny Lewis. We were in the woods and we were told of certain activity in this woods. There are also elementals. Now, we were here by the inspiration stump. I promise you that whatever or whoever this is was definitely not a part of the group. Looks like there's like 3 faces, like 1, 2, and 3. It looks very disturbing. But these photos were genuinely taken and these were images that were captured. So let me know in the comments if you captured anything strange and unusual during your paranormal investigations, and always remember to stay haunted.
Lewis and Clark were using Sacagawea as an interpreter with the native people as they ventured into the Wild West. And before they got to the Rocky Mountains, they realized, oh my gosh, we're going to need horses to be able to survive this thing. So they were trying to negotiate with the chief of the tribe of the one that was closest to them. And as Sacagawea is interpreting, she breaks down hysterically, crying because she realizes that she's talking to her long-lost brother, who told her that she was abducted as a kid to be a slave by one of the neighboring tribes. And I was just, as I found that story out, I was like, what is this poor girl not gone through? Like, anyways, this is my driver, and you can learn more about it at the Lewis and Clark diary. I don't know, I'm probably online, but this is my Radmore fit. If you like it, you can shop their page and we can twin. Trying to get this to go high in the sky, but I also can't tell where it's going because the golf ball is the same color as these clouds.
Hey, everybody's Palm Beach Beat. Where am I now? I'm in LA. Vegas to LA, shooting some content. Back to Vegas, more content. Keep it real, stay alive, be happy.
Every day, we're pointed more evidence towards Palm Beach Pete being Jeffrey Epstein. He keeps giving us clues, which are pretty obvious clues because they're right out there in plain sight. And everybody knows that this guy actually is Epstein. Like, no one's fooled by him, and they just think it's funny at this point. But it's not really funny. And, you know, Jeffrey Epstein had his own private jet as well, called the Lolita Express. And you do not want to know what they did with his plane, because most private jets do not have a ladder in the back where, like, you could throw bodies out of. You know, like you see Air Force One, you see Trump walking up. It's always from the side. Not a lot of planes have this. This was custom built so that Jeffrey Epstein and his friends could dump bodies out in the Pacific Ocean. So, and no one would ever find those bodies, too. If they're in the middle of the ocean, no one's going to find that. But if you had it on the side, that'd be a lot more difficult to do because of, like, air pressure and stuff. It'd, like, suck everything out. But this is a nice, easy opening. Like, you know, when people go skydiving, it's always with a plane that has a back opening because something with, like, the flow of air, it makes it much easier to just jump out that way. So, yeah. Hidden in plain sight right here.
Today, the internet is being sent into a frenzy over this headline. The bullet used to kill Charlie Kirk did not match the rifle allegedly used by suspect Tyler Robinson. Now, this article from Daily Mail has received over 14 million views in under 10 hours and has sparked hundreds of posts suggesting that conspiracy theorists were right again and that Tyler Robinson is not the shooter. But it's not that simple. Let's start with the part that is true. A recent analysis from the ATF, an official law enforcement agency, could not conclusively connect a bullet fragment recovered during an autopsy to the rifle